topics are going to, I just want to have like a little intro to what we're going to be learning today. So today's lesson is going to include mysteries of the animal impulse and how to transmute it, how to transmute desire into light, creating an inner resistance that leads to the ignition of the Kundalini fire. And we're also going to learn how to activate forethought and intuition, and what is Lucifer and how to use it. And we're going to be relating to two mythologies, cosmic psychologies of mysteries of Prometheus, and we're going to correlate it to Lucifer. We're going to show the chemical compounds, how it relates to us biochemically, and how we can actually utilize the mysteries that Eliphas Levi taught on how to actually create this inner resistance that extracts the light from desire. So we're going to basically learn how to turn all of the animal impulse desires into light by elevating them and increasing them within ourselves. So share, let's see. And then I just need to be able to share my screen. And I'm going to go here. So just starting off with this inner fire, this impulse is related to the fire and the light. And that light is what descends into our bodies every single day of our entire birth until starting at the age of 12. When we hit puberty, we begin to get a light deposit within our bodies every single day. And this is a chemical manifestation of the fire. And when we learn about the fire, we know the ancient Zoroastrians, like the first ones that conceptualized monotheism, or essentially knowing all is one, or emanates from the one, paid reference to the fire. This fire is the internal fire that gives everyone their individual I am. It's the spark of the fire. So we're sons of the fire. And the Upanishad says the Supreme Spirit is seen in the glow of fire and the radiance of the sun. And the sun has always been the visible product of the unmanifest. So when we're utilizing that energy from the sun, that fire that we see in the sky, there's an inner resonance within us that connects to it, because we actually have a part of that deposited into this physical body. And that is what has been leading us and growing us and maturing us. And it happens in octaves, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, da. Throughout your whole life, you're going to be increasing in octaves until you reach the appropriate octave to get to the next. It's not about getting to the next phase, but it's about getting to your natural, organic, spiritual state where you become like an archetype rather than like right now you could say that we're like physical molded clay endowed with divine ideas, divine mind, a divine soul, an animal soul, and all these different aspects. But what we want to do is transmute that and go to the planes of existence where we're a natural archetype, or we become one with our inner guidance or our inner ray. And we lose the aspects like our crude earthly body and our watery, influxual water. And instead we would have like air and fire with an ethereal body, which is a higher nature. So through the process of alchemy, we're always trying to refine this and cultivate this. So we have to work with the fire, which is working with Prometheus, working with Lucifer. And we as humans, we have the four elements within us. The four elements make up, earth, air, fire, water, is our body, our air, and our thoughts, our mind related to the air, and our breath, of course. And then we have the fire, which is the will and the impulse. And we have the spiritual nature being the witness. So these elements combine and we have like our miniature universe here within our body. So if we manage to ignite the inner fire, our spiritual flame will purify the more gross elements of earth and water. Now, air is the mediating force between the elements and allows all of these elements to intermingle. So the spirit, being the fifth most subtle element, is the way that we reach the ether. And in order to get to the ether in the fifth element, we have to go through the fire. We have to go through the sun. And Jesus says, no one gets to the Father except for me. We have ether, Father and ether, and we have the fire, the Christ, the spiritual flame. And we have to go through that portal in order to reach the universal ether. So that is why John the Baptist symbolized the baptism of water and says the one that comes after me baptizes with fire and the Holy Spirit. So let's see here. I'm going to now share my screen. Minimize that. And we're going to go to the keynote. So, utilizing the myth of Prometheus, and when I say myth, I mean cosmic psychological drama. It comes from the higher planes of existence and plays out within our life, and we perceive and write about it using astrotheology, which allows us to come to these conclusions. So we have to learn how to steal the fire from the gods. In the myth of Prometheus, Zeus creates, there's a creation of man like clay. They say they create them out of clay. And of course, the Zeus and the gods are above, and then Prometheus being the mediator, the one that is like the medial between humans and God. And Prometheus essentially doesn't like the fact that the gods created the humans, but they said that they can't use the fire. And Prometheus, being rebellious, decides to climb Mount Olympus up to the brain to steal the fire from the gods. And he comes back down with the torch, and he's rebellious. So he comes down and he gives humans fire. And, from a perspective of literal or just looking at it literary, it looks like a myth of, he's doing the right thing. He's overcoming, the gods don't want to hide this from humans, but Prometheus is being someone who is rebellious and a good-hearted person. He wants to go ahead and share the fire with the humans. So he goes up and steals the fire. The gods get very mad. They chain him to a rock. They say, for eternity, even though you're eternal, you will be chained to this rock, and an eagle will be eating your liver. And his liver regenerates. So, because he's a titan, he's immortal. So he has to experience the suffering. And he says, we'll let you go if you just decide not to disclose the mysteries of fire to humans. And he decides to still be rebellious. And then he's later saved by Hercules, of course, the higher nature. So we're just going to break this down really quick. Humans, the fire is the sexual energy, the sexual animal impulse. And when humans were gifted this, they had the ability to procreate and they had the ability to transmute. Now, the play on this is that nature kind of gives us a challenge to do this. So nature, to the average person doesn't necessarily push them towards this. In fact, they would have to fight the inner fire and transmute it. It wouldn't just happen very easily. So this is kind of the allegory of like the gods hiding the fire from man, not allowing them to understand the power of the inner fire within and how to transmute it. Prometheus being that Christic principle. Now, Prometheus actually means forethought. So in Greek mythology, Prometheus means forethought. So the Titan god of fire, Prometheus, is best known for defying the gods by stealing fire from them and giving it to humanity in the form of technology, knowledge, and more generally civilization. Now, that's a very broad, literal, historical perspective. From the alchemical perspective, he's defined the nature demigods from, and he's allowing us to awaken our inner intuition, our forethought, our individualized higher intellect that allows us to have intuition. And that intuition guides us and helps understand that, hey, we can use this energy more than just brute pleasure. We can use this energy for more than just sense gratification. Yes, we can have children with it, but what else could we do with it? So when Prometheus descends from the heaven, Mount Olympus down to get the fire, this is symbolized with that fire that descends in the body every single day. And for every day of our life, we're gifted a certain amount of this fire, and it's up to us to decide what to do with it. And usually people that are very in tune with their higher nature, who are artists or humanitarians, or they're working on lots of projects, and they're working very physically with their bodies and enhancing and improving themselves, they're stealing the fire from the gods, because the gods just want the fire to procreate, to just do what nature wants it to do. But when we become rebels like Prometheus, and we understand that we can have the ability to have forethought and intuition and have a better idea of our actions, we then begin to say, nope, we're taking this fire for us and giving it to humans. Now, the humans down at the bottom of Mount Olympus obviously represent the bottom of the spinal column, and Mount Olympus being the brain. So that fire, when it comes down and that fire is ignited, humans have knowledge or the ability to activate their higher nature. So this is how Prometheus steals fire from the gods and brings it down to humanity. Now, Prometheus is punished by being chained to a rock. He's being chained to the rock of sex, or Malkuth. On the tree of life, the rock would be here. He's working on the sphere of those impulses. And because when we decide to transmute, then it's almost akin to that scorpion eagle trying to eat and peck out our liver every day. We have to go through lots of suffering to sacrifice the animal pleasure. But in the end, Hercules comes to save us, because Hercules being the solar hero and Prometheus being kind of like Arjuna, or possibly more like a John the Baptist figure, we have Hercules that finally saves him from the rock and liberates him.